Hi everyone, and welcome to the Fake Love and Flying Monkeys podcast. My name's Nova Gibson and I am your host. My area of expertise is in supporting victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse and other toxic relationships. I'm the principal counsellor at Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counselling Service, and I'm also the author of Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about everything from the initial pink cloud you find yourself on at the start through to the horrific discard and the powerful trauma bond that keeps you hooked. So take your imaginary seat on the roller coaster that is narcissistic abuse, and don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. Today's episode is about that question that so many of you ask yourself when you've been a victim of narcissistic abuse, which is, why do they come back? Why do they rock up on your doorstep or ring you like nothing's happened, or show up at your grocery store when you're doing your weekly shop when they live 20 miles away? Why do they come back when they seem to be so happy with the next person and they made out like they just couldn't wait to get rid of you and you were the last person on earth that they would ever want to see again? So when we're talking about the narcissist reappearing magically in your life in some capacity, we're talking about the Hoover manoeuvre. Hoover coming from the Hoover vacuum cleaner and meaning to suck you back in. Now, it's not just about sucking you back into an intimate relationship with them. When they come back to hoover you, it can be just as easily to suck you back into engaging with them, to get you back arguing with them, to get your attention again. Quite simply, the Hoover maneuver is about getting back inside your head and having you think about them again. They may have kicked you to the curb and discarded you in the most horrible way, but that doesn't mean you're allowed to get on with your life and, goodness forbid, forget about them and heal and possibly move on with someone else. No, that would create a major wound to their ego. And attention, admiration is the narcissist's oxygen. It doesn't matter that they've moved on with their number 5, 6, 7 soulmate of the year and they appear so happy with this person. It doesn't matter that they appear to be blissfully happy with their new god or goddess that they're professing to the world, that this person saved them from the likes of you and how you were abusing them. They have come back to simply stake their claim on something that they put a lot of work into securing, which is your supply, and you're not going anywhere. The narcissist comes back to regain control of you and to see if you're up for another round of abuse. Now, it is so confusing for victims who are just so devastated at being abused, discarded, or even if they've managed to escape, they're still trying to heal from the trauma they experienced in this toxic relationship. And it is so confusing when the narcissist reappears in their life like nothing happened, or rocks up on their doorstep, or rings them and wishes them happy birthday because, they were just thinking about you. It is so confusing because it's meant to be confusing. When they come back, it deflects from the abuse, the abuse has kind of died down in your mind, and here they are being nice as pie, reminding you of the special times when they were love bombing you or throwing you breadcrumbs of the person they pretended to be that made you feel so good. So to understand why they do this, let's put on our narcissist goggles, so to speak. Try and see it through their eyes. I know that's a horrible thought, but let's try and understand why they do this. Now, in getting back to basics, we know that everyone is an object to the narcissist, including their own children. Everyone is objectified, and everyone deserves a place in their life only if you serve a purpose. So they get rid of you when you are no longer useful, and it costs too much energy to try and keep you than it does to get rid of you. Everyone has an expiry date for the narcissist. Everyone has a use by date, and the fact that they will discard you is written in the stars. It is going to happen and was always going to happen from the moment you laid eyes on them, whether you stay in an official relationship with them or not. For the narcissist, it's about supply and demand. Supply being narcissistic supply. And every partner, no matter who they are, no matter whether they actually pin that victim down and get married to them, every partner is going to get boring. Now, this just doesn't include intimate partners. It also includes anyone in their life, a family member, someone they work with. They are going to get bored. And of course, that means they need a top-up of beautiful, life-giving narcissistic supply, which they will gain from moving on to a new victim and getting the positive supply from that person as they love bomb them, and the negative supply from your pain and your confusion at being treated so badly after thinking that you were in a very healthy relationship with this person who appeared to treat you with respect. The narcissist is always in fear of not having enough supply, enough attention. So they are always in the process of grooming one victim or devaluing and discarding another. The next person they're with, the next soulmate, is no different to you, their last victim. They're simply at another stage of the cycle. So what that means is that they like to keep their exes, their previous targets around, a bit like having a harem. They like to be surrounded by people they have abused and confused in the past, so that when that next source gets inevitably boring, they can fall back on their old sources. They keep them round like a crocodile or some other reptile would store a bit of meat under a rock or a cave to come back to when, sources are a bit low, things are a bit slow, and they're needing a bit of extra supply to get them through that rainy day. So once again, the confusion for you as their last victim comes in the fact that they're possibly plastering pictures of them with the new soulmate all over social media. They're making out to everyone how glad they are to be rid of you and what a pain in their you-know-what you are. The confusion comes because they're back. Why are they back if they hated you so much? And the reason is because of exactly what I said earlier, in that they're storing you for a rainy day when they're low on supply, and they come back because they've already done the hard yards with you. They've love bombed you, and they've planted these hypothetical buttons in your head, so to speak. They've conditioned you, and they know exactly which buttons to press on to reactivate the trauma bond, to suck you back in. They know how to manipulate you because of all that work they put in the beginning. And it's just a matter of time before you will go back in their mind if they can just get you to think about them in the first place. Now, it's not just about all the work they put into love bombing you and not wanting that work to go to waste. It's also about the fact that they've done the love bombing. They've done the hard yards, and it's just a matter of pushing on those hypothetical buttons they planted in your brain. In other words, conditioning you. It's just a matter of pressing on one of those buttons. They know you so well, and they want to reactivate that addiction again, that powerful trauma bond that got you hooked into that cycle of abuse where there was major highs and major lows. You are a reliable source, and it is so much fun for the narcissist as well to tear you down again when it looks like you're starting to heal. That's the most enjoyable aspect for them, and they know exactly when to embark on a successful Hoover, which normally means when they see that you are starting to move on with your life and possibly forgetting about them. Coming back to Hoover you, or reactivating that relationship in any capacity, is also about triangulation. It's about getting the new target confused. Why are they talking to you again? Why are they being so mean to them and starting to possibly sing your praises when they told their new target how much they hated you? Well, the new target has become boring, as every victim does for a narcissist. The shine has started to wear off that new shiny toy, and they need to get a bit of excitement back in their life. Excitement in the narcissist's eyes, certainly not in the mind of the new primary source. They need to create some drama and chaos. And what a more perfect way than reactivating the trauma bond, or just re-engaging with their old target. Now, for those of you who have read my book, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse, you will remember the story of Sophie and how I used this classic example of hoovering. Now, picture this. You are walking down the aisle of a grocery store. You're pushing that trolley, and who do you happen to run into? Your abuser, who discarded you weeks, months earlier like you were something on the bottom of their shoe, and here they are in front of you. What do? Do you show some manners and say hi? Or do you turn around and hightail it out of there and run for your car, leaving the ice cream to melt in aisle 3? Well, I always tell my beautiful clients to run when you see the narcissist anywhere. There are never any coincidences when it comes to just happening to run into them. These times are normally very well thought out, and it's all about reactivating that addiction, getting you back thinking about them. I mean, there are going to be occasions that are just unpredictable, those little potholes that come up in your healing journey that are unforeseeable. But for the most part, these hoovering occasions are planned. Now, you do not owe the narcissist good manners. So, as I said earlier, if you run into them, you turn around and you get out of there. Because whether you run, turn around and act like you didn't see them, or you do say hi, the narcissist is going to tell everyone that you were rude and that you did the wrong thing. Whatever you do, it's going to be the wrong thing where they are the innocent victim. So you've got to do what is best for you, which is getting out of that triggering, toxic environment as soon as you possibly can. Now, when people talk to me about running into these narcissists on these occasions, they say to themselves that, look, I was really, really proud of myself. I didn't get sucked back in, and I'm really, really happy about that. And you know what? I am not going to answer their calls if they haven't yet blocked them, because that took a lot of strength to turn around, and I'm better than that. And I know now that I don't have to block them, because I proved to myself that I don't need them. Or I hear from my clients that they were very proud of themselves because they did say hi to the narcissist. And when the narcissist started banging on about changing and realizing what they had done, or just simply being really friendly and engaging, the victim thought, yeah, I've got your number. I know that you haven't changed. And they were really proud of the fact that they were aware of the narcissist's manipulative tactics at the time, and they hadn't done any changing. Now, these feelings of empowerment are wonderful, don't get me wrong, but remember the power of that trauma bond and how hard it was to break that incredibly difficult, powerful addiction to the roller coaster of major highs and major lows. If you haven't blocked your abuser in every way, shape, or form that you can think of, and especially if you haven't blocked them on your phone, whether the narcissist calls you out of the blue a few days later, a day later, a week later, it has put those toxic chemicals, so to speak, back inside your body. You're now thinking about that substance or that person that gave you your dopamine hit in the throes of your addiction. Those toxins are starting to enter your bloodstream, and before you know it, you're starting to think about them again more and more. Oh, why haven't they called me? If they haven't called you, Or perhaps you have seen their number come up on your phone and you thought to yourself, no, I'm not answering you. You can go to hell. I'm never talking to you again. And you give yourself a pat on the back. Whatever you do, though, the end result is that the narcissist is back inside your head. And that abuser is counting down the days till they can come back with hopefully a very successful Hoover. Now, let's look at the case where you haven't blocked them, but you're feeling really good because you saw their number come up and you didn't answer that call. But what happened when a few days later the narcissist hadn't called you, and because they're back inside your head, the source of your addiction is back inside your head, you start to think about them more and more. You think, oh my goodness, maybe there was something in what they were saying. If you spoke to them, they did sound like they had changed. The memories of the abuse have started to die down, and here they are acting like butter wouldn't melt in their mouth, and all of these coping mechanisms that we engage in, or the addicted brain engages in, to minimize how bad the abuser is, how bad the addiction is, and how it really didn't have that much negative effect on your life. All of these old coping mechanisms start to come back, and you think about them more and more until one day you do answer that call, and the cycle, before you know it, starts again. As I say in my book, the narcissist, if you do answer that call, will come up with some way of re-engaging with you. Perhaps they'll say, as I say in my book, Fake Love, in that story, that they left something at your house and they want to just stop by on the weekend and grab it. And maybe you'd like them to pick up a bottle of wine like they used to. And before you know it, your mouth, which isn't in alignment with your brain because you're minimizing, again, the severity of the abuse, of the addiction, before you know it, you say yes. And they come over, and for a little while, it seems so good until it isn't. And before you know it, you're not just back at square one, you're 5 squares before that, because you're back in that cycle and the abuse is worse than ever. Now, the narcissist knows exactly how to suck you back in, and they're very aware that they may just have to sprinkle a few seeds, so to speak, as in just catching your eye, as you cross the street. They know that you will be thinking about them, and it's just a matter of time before those seeds are watered and they start to grow and get larger and stronger. It's kind of like, if you could imagine the drug dealer who doesn't want a paying client to get clean, who finds their client, the drug addict, and just waves a bag of drugs in their face. This was the source of their addiction, and they know that if they can just get you craving that substance again, then they will have more money in their pocket. Even if you have blocked them on your phone, it can still be very dangerous if you haven't made sure as much as possible that you have blocked up every single avenue that the narcissist can pop up in and rear their ugly head again in your life, it can still be dangerous, because even if you have blocked them, you will start to think about them again and more often, and it's just a matter of time till you think to yourself, oh, what would it hurt? And you unblock them to see, if they've called or left you a message, which so often will have happened, and then you hear their voice, and this just adds to the craving and a need for that addictive source back in your life again. Even if you have blocked them, it's so easy to be sucked back in. So you've got to make sure that you have thought of everything and every possible way the narcissist can get back inside your life. I have heard of the narcissist going to extreme lengths to reactivate the trauma bond when their victim has started to heal and forget about them. Things like contacting them on Facebook Marketplace or eBay on something they were selling just to reactivate that addiction. That's how important it is to get you thinking about them again. Now, getting back to the unpredictable times where you run into them, maybe on the other side of the country, or just somewhere you never thought in a million years you would see them again. And it started the same process. They're back inside your head, and my clients say to me, oh my goodness, I thought I was over this, but I saw them the other day and now I'm starting to feel not as strong, and I'm worried that I might call them, or that I won't be as strong next time I run into them. Yes, it's impossible to predict that they're going to or not going to appear in your life at certain times. But if you've done everything in your power, then you know that your motivation is to never see or speak to them again. And if you are feeling confused, don't think that this has ended your healing journey. It's just a glitch. Yes, it can be triggering. Look what this person did to you. I would be surprised if it wasn't triggering in some way. But what I want you to do if that happens is to make sure that you just get straight back on that horse. It does not mean that you have to start over again. And it's very normal to, take a bit of a shuffle backwards. It takes time to completely heal from what this person did to you. And if you do run into them somewhere that you couldn't possibly foresee, then just please get support to get through those triggers and the emotional responses that you had to running in to this person who is your abuser. Think of everything when you are blocking your abuser. Don't think that they won't contact me again. They look so happy with the next partner. You've got to be proactive, not reactive. The narcissist will hoover you in so many ways to reactivate that addiction. I've heard of it all. Well, I probably haven't heard of it all because narcissists can be pretty inventive in the ways they hoover. But things like, they forgot something, they left at your place, Or maybe they've got something of yours and they just want to give it back to you because they're being nice. Or, maybe they accidentally dialed your number if you haven't blocked them. They really didn't want to speak to you. Nonetheless, it gets you thinking about them. Or perhaps something terrible's happened in their life, that their loved one has died and you were the only one who could possibly understand what they're going through. So they're using your empathy against you because, oh my goodness, you couldn't possibly leave them when they're going through such a traumatic experience. A classic way the narcissist also hoovers you back is by using that trusty little chestnut, let's just be friends. Let's be friends for the kids' sake. Or, I really valued our friendship. We weren't a good couple, so, let's just try and be friends. Guys, don't fall for it. When they say they want to be friends, they just want your supply with no strings attached. You cannot be friends with someone who has abused you, someone where in that relationship there was no loyalty, trust. They betrayed you and they dropped you like a hot bag of potatoes as soon as you had criticized them in any way, or they perceived criticism. They use that line, let's just be friends, so they can keep you around and possibly even get your advice on what they should do with the problems they're having with the next target, which is excruciating for you. But if that trauma bond has been reactivated, then it can also ignite your hopes of getting back with them because they are experiencing trouble with the next person. Or maybe the narcissist will contact you when they know you will be extremely vulnerable. Perhaps they heard that a loved one of yours has passed away and they've gone, oh my goodness, this is a fantastic opportunity to suck them back in. That's the actual way they think. But you are so vulnerable, and they ring and they know what to say. They knew your loved ones and they say all the right words. And you are just wanting comfort, and it is so easy for them to suck you back in at those particular times. As I said earlier, hoovering can also be about getting you to argue with them. Perhaps you're trying to go no contact and you've been doing a really good job with your boundaries, and they have just engaged some major drama or something you feel like you just have to respond to if you share children with them or you work with them. And here you are, you're frustrated, you're angry, and they go game, set, match, bingo. I got you to react. They've hoovered you back to feed off that negative supply and to stop you from ignoring them. Hoovering is never a good thing. The narcissist only ever comes back to hoover you after they've left you to marinate in your pain for just the right time. They come back to abuse you again, and of course to get you to react. They want your attention, whether it's negative or positive. The worst thing in the narcissist's eyes that you can do to them is to render them insignificant. This creates a major narcissistic injury which they can only heal and repair when they get you to re-engage with them. Now, some people talk to me in their sessions about feeling worthless because the narcissist hasn't hoovered them, and also feeling confused because they read about it so much. Now, if this is you, please know that not being hoovered is a good thing. They don't hoover you, or they can't hoover you because you're too strong. They worked out that it's just too much work to hoover you, and you just won't fall for it again. And or they're just so busy with the new supply and love bombing them, they just haven't got the energy right now. It is never flattering when the narcissist hoovers you. And if you haven't been hoovered by them, please know that that's a good thing. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. Victims tend to think, well, you know, if I'm hearing that the narcissist hoovers everyone else, then there really must be something wrong with me. It's exactly the opposite. You've done too much work and they just can't be bothered putting that time and energy in to a failed attempt at sucking you back. Now, of course, there are times when it's impossible, you know, not to engage with the narcissist, when you share children with them, or you work with them, they're a colleague or a boss perhaps. But if you know what they're doing and you are aware of the motivation behind their actions, then you will be able to fend off, you know, a sudden change in their behavior where they're treating you like garbage and all of a sudden they're being nice. You will be able to fend off a successful Hoover by your abuser, but you've always got to maintain as much as you can minimal contact for those occasions. Grey rock, where you do what a rock does, which is to say nothing and give them as little as possible for them to feed off. If you know who and what they are, you hold all the cards because you can predict what they're going to do, and you can analyze their very predictable behaviors when they're right in the middle of them. Please always remember, guys, that the narcissist does not miss you, no matter how much they say they do and how much it looks like they've changed, because you now have an awareness of their consistent patterns of behavior over space and time, where they just went straight back to who they really are when they were nice to you in the beginning. And also remember that if you do get hoovered back, it gets worse every single time, because the narcissist needs to punish you. Even if they've discarded you, they need to punish you for being able to live without them, or for trying to heal and forget about them, or just for not begging them to come back to you. They need to punish you. So every single discard after a successful Hoover, every single discard gets more painful and more traumatic than the last one, because yes, they need to punish you, and because they thrive on the pain that comes when you ultimately realize that against your better judgment or your instincts, you went back, knowing deep down subconsciously that you were going back to the same cycle. Every single time you get hoovered back, it will just get worse. So this is why it is so important to block them. You've got to be proactive so they do not get that opportunity, and to get lots of support if for some reason they did come back into your life, which was out of your control. Don't look at those triggering feelings, that confusion, as a failure. It is not a failure. Those feelings are normal. You had your abuser in front of you, or you heard them and you were triggered. Now, if that happened to you guys, please talk to someone. It is so important not to think that you have to start all over again and there's something inherently wrong with you and that your abuser may have been right about you after all. If you haven't been hoovered, then I guess if you can look at that as being lucky. It's very hard to look at anything to do with the narcissist as being lucky for you, but you're lucky in the sense that you didn't have to go through that cycle again. Most people are hoovered back at some stage. So guys, please don't beat yourself up for being hoovered back. But now you know, now you're aware of why they do it, how they do it, and you can look at the experiences that you've had as a learning curve and a glitch in your healing journey. But please don't ever think that the narcissist has changed, because when they come back, it is only ever to see if you're up for another round of abuse. And that brings us to the end of another episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. Today we talked about why does the narcissist come back when they appear to be so happy with someone else. And we call this the Hoover maneuver. We talked about hoovering strategies that the narcissist uses to suck you back in as another potent source of narcissistic supply, and how to avoid being hoovered back in again, and the importance of being proactive, not reactive, when it comes to stopping the narcissist from being able to hoover you. I talk about hoovering in so much detail in my book, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse, HarperCollins. So if you haven't yet, please grab your copy. It's available worldwide. And if you'd like to have a one-on-one session with me, please just email me or go to my website, the link's below, and I'd love to support you one-on-one in your healing journey. And of course, don't forget to follow me on my other social media platforms. And if you're wondering what you can do to help this podcast keep going, I would be so amazed. I'd be so grateful if you could rate us and leave a review. Reviews are wonderful to read, and of course, ratings matter. And on that note, guys, it's bye from me for now. And remember, until the next episode, you are worthy of love. And you are certainly worthy of a whole lot more than a lifetime of fake love and flying monkeys.